Hi everyone. So today I'm going to talk about a very interesting topic. It is diabetes reversal. Most people, including some doctors, don't even know this is possible, but it is. And people are reversing their diabetes in India and all around the world. Reversing, mind you, it's not just control. That means if you go for a blood test, it will show that you do not have diabetes, and you will not have any of the symptoms not have any symptoms of diabetes. No increased hunger or thirst, no frequent urination, no blurry vision, no fatigue, and you won't need any insulin injections or drugs either. But one important fact is, though, that what I'm talking about is diabetes type 2, which is adult onset diabetes. There is another type of diabetes, type 1, where the body does not make insulin at all. Unfortunately, we can't do much there. So, how serious is the problem? In India, it is pretty serious. We are supposed to be the diabetes capital of the world. And they say, 7% of the Indian population will have diabetes. It's a statistic. So, the problem is that millions of people are suffering from diabetes, and billions of dollars are being spent for drugs, medical care, and a lot of related matters. Forget about reversing diabetes for all these people who are suffering, but even if a small percentage of them follow this system and reverse their diabetes, it will be a huge benefit. But many people don't know that's a tragedy, and they consequently don't go for this. So what do? What is the conventional treatment? The conventional treatment is, the doctors say there is no cure for diabetes. You can only keep it in control. So diet control. Don't eat rice, don't eat potatoes, don't eat fruit, do some exercise, and regularly test your blood sugar levels at home. And if it doesn't get better, you go for oral medication, and if all that doesn't work, then you have insulin injections. And it is estimated that almost 40% of the people with type 2 diabetes will end up having insulin injections. But there are challenges to this. It's expensive, and it's a lifelong thing. You can't just take it for one day and finish it. And there's significant efforts. You have to keep on doing blood testing and injections every day, and the number of injections keep going up sometimes. The dosage goes up, the frequency goes up. And it's not a cure, it's just keeping in control, and sometimes there are complications. So, what are the complications? Heart disease, nerve disease, eye damage, kidney damage, to name a few. So why go through all this pain if there is an option which is possible? I can't say guarantee, but it is possible to reverse your diabetes, and why not try it out? But first, let's understand what is diabetes. Exactly what is it? Most people think that diabetes is a disease of excess of sugar in the bloodstream. That's true. But the point is that is a symptom of the disease. It's not a cause. Let's go deeper. Normally, when you eat food, it's digested and the glucose is released into your bloodstream. Basically, every cell in the body needs glucose for energy to perform its functions. And therefore, the blood transports the glucose all around the body to take it to every cell. Once it gets there, it has to get into the cell. And for that to happen, insulin is required. Think of it that there's a lock on every door of the cell. And the insulin is the key required to open that lock. Under normal circumstances, the key works fine, the lock opens, the glucose gets into the cell, out of the bloodstream, into the cell, and it does its work there, and all is good. But sometimes something happens. The key, that is insulin, does not work. The glucose is stuck in the bloodstream, not able to get into the cells. This is called insulin resistance. That's where the levels of sugar go up in the blood because it's not able to get out of the blood and into the cells. And that's what shows up in your tests. And the problem is every cell doesn't get the glucose it needs to for its energy requirements. So you feel tired and you have other symptoms of diabetes. But why does this happen? There are causes like obesity and genes and stuff, but in many cases it turns out that something has jammed the keyhole in the lock. I'm making an analogy to make it simpler to understand. So the key doesn't work anymore. Something is jammed. You think of, you take chewing gum and put a chewing gum in the keyhole. The key doesn't go in and doesn't work anymore. So what happens? There is excess sugar in the blood. The cells are screaming for glucose. So a signal goes to the brain. Problem. And the brain sends a command to the pancreas. Make more insulin. There's not enough insulin. There's too much of sugar in the blood. More insulin is needed to get the glucose out of the bloodstream into the cell. So this works for a while because more insulin is pumped in and that goes and opens the lock. It works for a while until the lock jams again. And then the pancreas is asked to make even more insulin. It might even increase its capacity by 20, 30, 40, 50%, I don't know. But at some point of time, the inevitable happens. The pancreas gets exhausted and it drops back its production of insulin to the normal levels. It goes back to the baseline production. And obviously this means that the levels of insulin being secreted are not enough, and there's way too much sugar in the bloodstream, and this excess sugar is floating around, and hey, presto, you have diabetes. So this is what actually happens. I've simplified it a great deal, but this is, in essence, this is what happens. So the problem is, in most cases, it is insulin resistance. But the interesting thing is, how does this happen? What is this so-called chewing gum that's going and blocking the keyhole of the lock and preventing the sugar from getting into the cell? That's what we'll talk about in the next video, along with how we're going to go about reversing the problems caused by diabetes. Thank you.